Welcome back. It's still Wake Up Nigeria. Now, this is a segment I'm always really appreciative of because I always get to learn a thing or two. We do our best as parents to instill values that we hold dear in our kids. But when they go out into the world, there seems to be little or almost no control that we can manage things that they come in contact with, things that they take in, they soak up. Now, our parenting topic with Izefua this morning is how best to control societal influences in our kids and ensure that our values are properly instilled in them. Welcome back to the studio.
Great
Izefua.
to be back, as always.
Touchy topic.
Very touchy topic. Like, what can we really do, right?
It feels like our hands are tied behind our backs when our kids are out there in the world, in school, you know, especially. Maybe
School, the school buses.
Yeah, school buses, a big deal.
Friends' homes, several church, other places where, playground where they're found. Yeah, so many places.
So it feels like we're doing what we can or what we know to do. We're telling them, do this, don't do that, this is not right, this is right. But then they go out there and then they're among other kids that have been, told other things.
Yeah.
So they're conflicted.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yes, of course. They are conflicted, yes.
So how do we kind of manage the influence of other, environments on our kids?
So I will start with the language you use. We're doing this, we're doing that, we're telling them. I personally find that one of the ways is not to tell them, but to become it. And what I mean by that is, a lot of times we imagine that I always talk to this child, I tell him, they will say, tell him, talk to him, talk to him. Yeah. But how much of what we say do we actually experience do? We talk about how our children are sponges a lot on the show, right? And they soak it up all in. So I think a great place to start is for us to even sit back and say to ourselves, these values, these behaviors, this way of being that we are telling our children to become, are we living by example? Are we showing our children that this is how to be? For example, our kids pick up language. You hear children cursing, literally cursing. And
bad language,
bad language. And when they curse, you're mad. You're picking up that. Why would you do that? Where did you hear that? But I always say, stop. Who talks like that, first of all, here?
In your environment.
In your environment. Sometimes you're not even conscious. It may be us speaking to our drivers, our mates, other people, or about other people in that manner.
In front of them.
In front of them. Right? So, but we're wondering where they're picking up the cursing from.
So it might not actually be an external influence in that case.
We are the society. We are we are first society.
But what about in the case of, okay, off the top of my head, birthday parties?
Oh, great.
You have dancing competitions, for instance, and you have parents cheering on the kids that know all the dance steps. Now, these dance steps we're talking about are highly adult dance
extremely
steps.
provocative.
I'm talking about twerking and the like. And you see other adults cheering these kids on. Whereas the other kids that don't exactly know the steps don't win the dancing competition.
And they're humiliated, right?
And they feel bad about it. So how do we manage that kind of situation?
Titi, take time for training. I want to just throw the points out there. First of all, every family has its values. We know, and by values now, whenever I talk about values, I don't just mean morality. I don't mean good, bad, cursing. No, I mean core values, things that are important to you. I am not sure that the bother is that the children are dancing. Like you said, it is that the dance is highly provocative and is not appropriate.
For their age.
For their age. It's not appropriate. We know it's not appropriate for their age. So first of all, model it. Secondly, take time for training. My child goes for a dance party and she does not win because she doesn't know how to twerk. She feels bad. That is an opportunity for me as a parent to take another time to reinforce and train. And like I say, sometimes we want to polish the conversation. You don't want your child to know, this dance is not appropriate for your age. This is adult. It's the same way you have a conversation around sex. So take time for training. And then secondly, what are our children, what are we exposing them to? Even those children that are twerking. I have met parents who are surprised that their children dance like that. They don't even know where the child learned it from. So what is your child seeing on TV? Because that is societal influence. You give your child a tablet. are you monitoring what that child is experiencing on the tablet? Do you just drop it and go away? So those are some issues we should begin to look at.
Okay, so now thankfully, you know, a lot of the cable networks have put in place parental guidance measures to block certain channels. I wonder if, you know, a lot of our parents have actually... I use it through and through. And the sad thing is I block all the Nigerian movies as well.
Beautiful.
I block
Sorry,
everything.
but
Yeah, but I block...
It doesn't work for children.
I block a lot of things on their own TV. But what about other influences such as biting, scratching, foul language? Okay, like for instance in the school bus, where the driver of the school bus is screaming obscenities at a downfall driver, for instance. How do you curb things like that? You know that, sadly, children spend less time at home these days than they do in school and other places. However, we know that the strongest influence on a child first is the parent of the child and whoever cares for the child. If you do not have those behaviors existing at home, create the behaviors you want or the way of being you want in your house and stick to it and stand by it. When your child goes out and picks something and brings it home, you will immediately be able to pick that out as abnormal. This is not the norm. And then you'll be able to address it. However, a situation with the drivers, some parents, I think, we do not stand up for our children. I talk about not intervening all the time, letting children grow, but there are situations where you need to intervene. Get to school, speak to the school. I think that, and if you listen, your child will tell you who says that, if that is not their language. I've heard my children say, oh, if this child in school says so. Intervene and say, I'm sorry, this is not appropriate for the children. We can't keep quiet. And when they know you're the parent that stands up and will not take inappropriate things where your children are, they'll protect your children from it. I'm so grateful that you could come to the studio once again, Izefua. We need to continue this conversation on social media. This issue of external influences, how are you taking measures to make sure your kids are protected? Now, we have to move on with the show. Thank you, Izefua.